The inspection panel is a drawer that can be opened and closed, and contains a set of tools. On the left, it is possible to insert and modify the elements in absolute, relative and polar mode. Let's insert some walls to modify their measures in absolute coordinates. I select the left corners of the walls with the selection rectangle. I block the Y and Z fields and enter the desired X coordinate. The X coordinate of the selected vertices changes, while the Y and Z remain unchanged. The same goes for the vertices on the right, which align on the entered X coordinate. I can also modify the coordinates of a single vertex. Now I select a vertex and modify its Y coordinate. I delete inserted elements to see how to use relative coordinates. Click on the pen icon to set the drawing mode to insert two walls. I select them and use the relative coordinates for moving the selection. I move 400 cm to the right and 100 cm up. Click on the pen icon to set the drawing mode, to insert walls with relative coordinates. I click where to insert the wall. Insert the measurement of 400 cm in the X field. Block the Y and Z fields and confirm. The wall is drawn. I enter -300 cm in Y, with X blocked, to insert another downward wall. I continue by inserting -400 cm in X to insert another wall to the left. I select and delete the inserted walls to continue with the polar coordinates, and see how they can be used to insert and modify elements. To insert new walls in polar coordinates, I click where the first wall starts. In polar coordinates, I enter the length and angle of the new wall. By clicking on OK, the new wall is inserted. The endpoint of the new wall becomes the current cursor position. I can insert a new wall, with distance and angle, starting from the current position. I can modify an existing wall by clicking on one of its ends. Polar coordinates show the length and angle of the clicked wall. If I change the angle, the wall rotates around the vertex opposite the clicked one. I still change the angle several times to see how the wall rotates. In practice, the modified vertex is the one clicked, which rotates or changes according to the polar coordinates entered, while the opposite vertex is not modified. I also rotate the other wall. I can also change the length. I insert a new length and click on OK. The selected vertex is modified, so that the wall assumes the new length. Now let's see the next panel, which is used to set or modify the geometric characteristics of the elements, lines, areas and materials. If nothing is selected, the characteristics are the default for the element type. Otherwise they are applied to the selected elements. I draw a polygon to show them. I select the element and can change the thickness of the lines, the type of line and the color. The color can be chosen from a list of predefined colors or from the System Colors window. Let's see the management of areas. If the slab is not selected, I can set the fill and color for the next slabs. If instead the slab is selected, I can set the fill and color of it. Set fill and color for the selected polygon. By clicking on the Materials tab, I choose the material to be assigned to the selected slab. The material is only visible in the 3D view. I erase the slab and proceed to describe the various types of constraints. The first constraint is the drafting machine, which is used to set the drawing angles and tracing the elements. Besides using the preset angles, I can add new angles to the list. I enter a new angle of 15 degrees. I can choose the new angle from the list and use it to draw parallel or perpendicular to the chosen angle. Next to the drafting machine there are all the constraints, to the vertices of the elements, to the axis, to the center, to the intersection, to the tangent, to the curves, to the grid. Furthermore, I can set a perpendicularity or parallelism constraint, both starting from the axis of an element and arriving near the axis of another element. In these cases the cursor gets stuck in the correct position. The rotary cursor rotates the selected elements relative to their starting point or relative to their center. The same rotation can be obtained by setting the value in the field below. The right tools are shortcuts for rotating selected items left and right by 90 degrees and for mirroring them horizontally and vertically. The modifications occur with respect to the barycenter of the selection.